information, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I have some news. The room is full. Our founding members cohort on the art of conversation has begun, and I could not be more energized by the professionals who said yes to mastering the craft. Their dedication to curating great conversations reminds me why I do this work. Now, if you wanted to join us and did not make it in time, I want you to hear this. The next cohort is coming. I do not have the firm dates yet, but I do have a waiting list. And everyone on that list will receive early access and special discounts when enrollment opens. After almost 40 years of interviewing world leaders and cultural icons, I am teaching everything I know. Don't miss your chance to be in the next room. Go to TavishTalks.com and get on the waiting list right now. That's TavishTalks.com. The conversation continues. Will you be part of it?
Yeah, man.
Man, I feel like money. Man, I feel like money. They attracted to me. They come around like honey. They come around like honey. 'Cause I fly like a bee. Man, I got 'em all buzzing.
Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses, highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs, and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
That it is, and you know it's my favorite thing when folks come in and I get to meet the entrepreneurs face to face, and that's what's going on today. I knew I shouldn't have eaten those donuts. I'm just playing. Joining me in the studio, a veteran strength and performance coach. He's got more than 20 years of experience developing elite athletes and building championship-level training programs. He got his undergrad degree from University of Wisconsin-Madison, a master's of education from Howard University. He's got academic expertise combined with decades of hands-on coaching success. His company is called Righteous Fitness. Lyntrel Smith, welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Wait,
you.
I got to run in the other room and just pump up my biceps a little bit and do some quick bicep work before we do this interview.
No, I see your triceps popping out.
Okay,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I know I should have done some arms yesterday. Anyway, it's great to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, indeed. The fitness space can be pretty crowded.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And I mean, you've been doing this 20 years, so you must have a very special lane.
The best advice I ever received was from a known trainer. His name is Dalvet Quince. He used to be on The Biggest Loser. He was the black bald head trainer. When I was working at Equinox, he would come in there. And I remember we were talking one day, and I just asked him, I said, Dalvet, let me get some advice, He said, Lyntrel, the best way to stick out in the fitness industry is to be niche. Don't do everything.
Yeah, don't be all things to all people.
No, don't be all things to all people. So from then I was like, okay, I'm going to be niche. So not only did I get into athletics, but everybody approaches athletics from the standpoint of, get bigger, stronger, faster. But my athletic career ended in college from a neck injury.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had to retire by my sophomore year.
That was a bad neck injury.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was a bad neck injury. So just being in pain, those last couple of years of college and trying to just doing research and figuring out how to get myself out of pain, I said, okay, there's something to this injury prevention. So fast forward to, me thinking about my niche. I wanted to focus on how can I keep people on the field? How can I keep people on the basketball court? Because, they say the best ability is availability. So from then on, I decided to make my niche within, athletics to be injury prevention. So for about the last 11 years, I was really geared in performance, but for the last 11 years, I really decided to focus on injury prevention.
You know, it's so important, but that's the kind of thing that a lot of young heads may or may not really resonate with, right? Because if you've never had one of those setbacks, what makes you want to prioritize that? It's not till you have a Achilles or, you know, that's taking you out for a year or forever or something like that, that it seems urgent. How do you get that message to kids and their parents who, you know, when you're a kid, you think you're invincible?
Well, now it's pretty easy to get that message across to kids because they know the professional athletes that I've worked with, and so that helps. That helps.
Right.
That helps.
Such as, who are we talking about?
NBA. I'll go with one of my favorites, a local legend, Trevor Ariza. Went to Westchester High School, UCLA championship with the Lakers with Kobe Bryant. I was Trevor's trainer the last 3 to 4 years of his career, and he was able to still play.
Which is when you really can't get injured, right? When you're a veteran and you just don't have, so you don't want to do all that.
Right, so you're not real. But the thing is, if you want to prolong your career, you can't rely on athleticism anymore.
Right. Not alone,
you have to rely on skills and you have to rely on your health. So one thing that me and Trevor did was he trusted me. Even to this day, you know, I trained his two sons, Taj and Tristan Ariza as well. So, you know, and then another basketball player people are familiar with, another UCLA Bruin, Kevon Looney, played with the Golden State Warriors. Kevon has 3 rings. Now he's with the New Orleans Pelicans. And Kevon, since I've been training Kevon for the last 3 years, maybe 3 to 4 years, he hasn't missed. He played all 82 games for about 3 years straight.
That's big, right? If I'm a team owner, billionaire, whatever, and I'm going to invest those dollars into an athlete, I want them to be able to play.
Exactly. And I just read a story while I was sitting in there about, you know, you have the NFL draft coming up, and I have an athlete who's entering the draft, Sierra Wright, as a cornerback out of University of Nebraska. He went to USC and Loyola High School, local kid. So it's a safety from Ohio State named Caleb Downs, and they just found out that he's torn his meniscus a few times. So
yikes!
Yeah, so you know the draft hasn't even happened yet, and now
so he'll
the
drop like a rock,
more than likely. And he's a top 5 talent in the draft. So you know that just lets you know that the talent doesn't matter, even your production. You know, doesn't matter if they are already scared that hey, you have this torn, you had this injury, you're missing this amount of games.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that when I was working out with Coach E because I stopped getting...
Hey, Coach E, how you doing?
I stopped getting injured. And I was like, oh, I guess this is why they tell you to stretch and listen and stuff.
Exactly.
Because I love to work out. I'm never going to be in the NFL draft, but I love to work out. And it's terrible when you get injured because it's like you got to start all over again. I had to sit out for 3, 4, 6 months, and now you've got to rebuild your muscles and your skills. I can only imagine if that's how you eat. That's got to be really terrible.
And the thing about the eating is, and I'm sure Coach E told you this, Coach E trained my little brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he trained my little brother, Major Colbert, who played football as well. He would go to Clinton High with Coach E and do speed training. Yeah,
it's pretty brutal, but I'm sure yours is too. It's just, you know, the question is, can you come through it without being hurt?
I mean, and that's essentially it. So you have to really take your nutrition serious. You know, I tell when people say, okay, what should I eat?
Not the donuts.
I'm pretty. People say I'm pretty extreme because of my dietary restrictions. You know, it's just certain things I'm allergic to that I just can't eat. So I don't eat dairy. I don't eat red meat.
In a perfect world, none of us would, right?
Right. So I only eat fish. I'm a pescatarian. So people
fish, vegetables,
and fruit. That's it.
No grains at all.
Yeah, I do eat grains.
Whole
Yes,
grains,
I eat grains.
probably,
I eat whole grains.
Yeah.
But the thing is about, you know, the simple sugars and even the red meat and pork creates inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
Inflammation.
And inflammation causes pretty much every didisease known to man.
Any of us who listen to
And
Dr.
woman.
Sabi, we know what everything starts.
Me and Dr. Sabi used to fight, but it's not just Sabi. I mean, Goss and
exactly.
Rab, Dr. Rab, and
Rab.
Tabiti, all those guys that kind of say the same thing. And women. Dr. Eve. They all kind of say the
Yep,
same
yeah,
thing.
inflammation is the building block for dis-ease in the body.
Yeah, yeah. So when I see, you're the strength coach at Narbonne High School.
Yeah, my alma mater.
Okay,
Class
okay,
of
that
2001.
makes sense. Makes
Narbonne
sense.
Gauchos.
Okay, Gauchos. What I know, you gotta make the guys go hard. They have to train hard. But one of the things I learned from my work with the LA 84 Foundation is that a lot of parents, and I think particularly in football, they have their kids overdoing it, or they're doing inappropriate things for their developmental stage of their body.
Right.
Like a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old can't lift like an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old probably can't lift like a 25-year-old, right?
No, and the thing with football, because it is so strength-based,
Right.
you have to be careful.
Right.
Like I just told the young men last week, I said, when it comes to the weight room, these are the only inanimate objects that hit back. If you're not careful, the weights can hurt you.
Yeah.
So you just... And now I found out that, even a lot of middle school PE programs, they're not doing fitness-based exercises anymore. So if you're a parent and you're not getting your child outside training, like coming to see me, then by the time they get to high school, they have to learn how to lift weights first.
Right.
But
how early can a kid lift?
I don't let kids lift any earlier than middle school.
Okay.
Middle school.
But even in middle school, it's got to be.
I mean, everything
specific,
has to be.
right?
Everything has to be
Because
controlled.
I see kids trying to be like, oh, I can bench this much. I can, it becomes like a competitive thing, or they're trying to prove that they're strong. Or I've seen trainers do it too, and parents do it too, in the efforts of showing off. And it seems like a kid can really get injured when I don't know, maybe when you're injured and your body is developing. I'm assuming that's extra bad.
Well, I've done a lot of the research is still inconclusive.
Okay.
It's still inconclusive.
I mean, we also know they can heal fast. A kid can drop from a
Exactly.
20-story building and keep walking.
And that, and especially they're going through puberty, so they have this abundance of hormone available. That's why you see such rapid growth with kids when they're in middle school. They get taller. Like me, I got muscles in middle school.
Right.
So it is an individual basis. Like for me, I started lifting when I was 12, and I was a strong kid. I was not too much smaller than this when I graduated from high school.
So you kind of saying it depends on the child and their development, which is where experts come in,
and especially the coach, like you said, the experts. Like you have to make sure that you're attentive. You have to make sure that you, as the trainer, it's about what's best for the athlete, or the young athlete, the kid at that point, and you have to take your ego out of it. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my career, is that yes, you have your program, yes, you have your idea, but then what if an athlete comes in, they getting run out of sleep, they didn't eat, they're sore from the day before, they didn't ice or recover and stretch properly. These are all, if you're dealing with adults, they may have, some personal issues going on to mentally, they may be checked out.
Yeah.
And these things, and if you're not focused, it will affect your performance. So as a strength coach, you're really looking at all of these different facets that can affect the outcome of the workout that day. Tomorrow may be different. Yesterday maybe was different, but today we gotta modify. And you have to be willing to put your ego in your back pocket. As Trevor used to say, when you come in the weight room, put your ego in your back pocket. So even as a trainer and a coach, put your ego in your back pocket and look what's best for the athlete that day at that time. And then you can come back later to what you really want to do. But for that moment, you have to do what's needed.
That day, that time, these conditions. Lyntrel Smith is my guest. Righteous Fitness is his organization. We'll have more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I believe that we will go from guttermost to uttermost. I believe that we will go from slave ship to championship. I believe that we will go from outhouse, the state house, the courthouse, the White House. I believe.
He served alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He ran for president. He kept hope alive for millions of fellow citizens. This Friday, March 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 will carry the homegoing services of the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. live from Chicago, beginning at 8 a.m. Pacific. Join us as we say farewell to a giant, a preacher, a warrior, a man who never stopped fighting for justice. The homegoing service of Reverend Jesse Jackson. This Friday, live starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. When you hold on and hold out, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Yes, indeed. It's Wealth Building Wednesday. Lyntrel Smith is here. Righteous Fitness is his organization. So if I'm a mom, a dad, a professional athlete who's trying to extend their career, or one who's trying to start their career, how would I find you?
You can find me on Instagram at righteous_fitness. You can also email me at righteousfitness21@gmail.com. I just started a TikTok.
Okay.
Also, same name, Righteous Fitness. You know, everybody, I'm still getting used to it, you know. I'm sounding like a dinosaur. You know, I've been used to, Instagram and everything else. So now I'm just now getting used to TikTok. But you can reach me at, you can DM me through Instagram, or you can email me.
Okay, so it's righteous_fitness on IG and righteousfitness21
The number
at
21,
gmail.com. Yeah. And of course we'll have that on the podcast if people want to find it. Why do some people's careers last a long time and some people get burnt out? Why do we have a LeBron and then other folks who can only play a year or two and then they
Very simple.
Yeah.
LeBron spends $1 million a year on his body.
Really?
Yes.
Man, I would be fine if I spent $1 million a year on my body.
He spends $1 million a year on his body. So,
of course, you have to be LeBron to have that million to spend. But
yes, you have to be LeBron to have that. But no, a lot of these athletes have the million to spend. They just choose to spend it on other things. So
bottle
it's all about what you value. You know,
right.
what do you choose to invest
So your body
in?
rather than your bottle service.
There you go.
You get a longer.
Get a longer career.
You get a longer career. You were injured, you said, in
Yes.
college, and that ended your career, but you didn't stop working out.
No.
A lot of people would say, "Oh no, this hurts. I'm not doing it anymore." You leaned in.
Well, because you it's like arthritis. You know, the the medicine is in what hurts. You know, so what happened? Did I strike?
No, it just sounded like something you probably say to athletes.
Oh. I mean, and for me, my left shoulder has been pre-arthritic since I've been about 19, 20 years old. So
a young man trapped in an old man's
man,
body.
So one of the things I have to do to just stay pain-free is to stay strong.
Yeah. Strength is so important, even if you're not an athlete, especially for those of you, because I don't include myself in this, those of you who are getting older, because muscle protects us from so many things, and we don't think about it. We think about muscle as like something extra for people who want to look great. But if you fall down and you got muscle, you don't break.
Correct.
And I think, you
have the ability, how about you trip, but you don't fall?
Yeah, and that's me every day.
Because when you trip, what's the first thing do you feel contract?
Abs.
There you go.
Yeah.
So if you have a weak core, just tripping and falling can be catastrophic.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was reading that now, there's new research that shows even 90-year-olds who start lifting for the first time at 90 can build muscle mass.
Yep.
So what's our excuse?
Laziness.
Yeah. How do we overcome that? I mean, it's not just laziness. I think for athletes, especially you deal with a lot of athletes, it's also a mindset, right?
Correct. Because there is, like I always say, people, hey, Lyntrel, you want to join this flag football team? You want to do this? Like, I don't do anything athletic for fun. I don't do.
You're very transactional.
Nothing. I don't do anything physical for fun. It's work for me, or it's like drinking water and eating. I have to lift this day. I have to do my cardio here, and that's it.
Dang, do you have any fun?
I'm really a nerd. I like to I like to read, watch cartoons, listen to podcasts.
Okay, so therefore the workout, you don't even try to make it fun. You just say, I'm doing this because I got to do it.
Right.
Put my hard hat on and go to work.
Either I do it, and my neck will start hurting, my shoulder will start hurting.
But what about the athletes? I mean, I'm sure they don't want to hear that. This is your job. Come to work, put your hard hat on.
Well, the great thing
if
is,
it's not fun.
There are a lot of examples you could choose from. You could say, hey, do you want to be LeBron and prolong your career, or do you want to be Trevor Ariza and prolong your career, or do you want to have injuries sabotage your career and rob you of your greatness?
Yeah. So then it doesn't become about fun, but also this thing of mental toughness, and tenacity. How do you teach that?
Well, I think it's something that you learn maybe from preschool. Did you want to take a nap? Probably not, but you had to. Did you?
Right. So so you don't worry about that. They just have to pull up and do it.
Yeah. So people's personal feelings, it doesn't affect me a lot. I have 3 older sisters, so
and sons
and 4 sons. So it's hard to connect with me, to pull on my heartstrings. You can't be emotional with me. I'm gonna just sit there and then wait for you to, give your monologue. Then we're going to get back to work.
I mean, a lot of parents are the emotional ones, even more than the student athletes, what I've seen at games and even at workouts.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Yeah, I tell parents I say, hey, there's a lounge right there.
So go away, basically.
Oh, no, I even trained my little cousin, and my first cousin's son, and one day he was trying to say something to him. I said, hey, you're distracting my client. I need you to leave. So if I could put my old cousin out, then because that's one thing you do see with a lot of young athletes. They do want to please their parents.
Yeah.
So, they might be holding a plank and looking over to see if mom or dad approves. And I'm like, hey, no. Right here with me.
Eyes over here, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes, even if parents have the best of intentions, some of them can be distractions.
I mean, I think all of us have the best of intentions, but we can't. That's another thing I learned from LA 84. Let your kid choose their sport. Don't force them. We can't live through them. No. They are their own people.
Right. And that's what gives me peace, as a coach, and especially as a father. My 2 oldest sons, they're 15 and 12. They're involved in athletics. My oldest son plays basketball. My 12-year-old plays water polo. So like my son say, Dad, do you regret not playing? Do you regret this? I said, no, because if I played, you're not born. I met your mom my senior year of college. If I was still playing, I probably would have been in school my senior year of college.
Right,
So, you know,
right.
I'm like, so son, everything worked out. I'm at peace. You don't even play football. He's a basketball player.
Right.
You know, so he's able to live out his own
But
dreams.
you didn't force him into football, so to live out the dream you didn't get to do.
He played. He played, but when he say, Dad, I'm trying to get hit, I was like, all right. I say, hey, man, you know, I'm from the east side of South Central. You're not raised with the same things as Dad. You know what I mean? So you don't have that chip on your shoulder. You don't have
but also you gave him free choice.
Exactly.
Because our kids are not our possessions. We don't own them.
Not at all.
So,
but you want to guide them.
Oh, for sure.
You definitely want to guide them.
Yeah, we got rules. I'm not saying that, but yeah. So, we only have a minute or so here, but if I'm a mom or a dad and how do I choose a coach, or how do I know if a coach is good for my kid?
I would say lean into your network. Lean into your network to, ask around. If your kid is on an organized team and you know that one of the kids may be training with a coach or training with a trainer that specializes in something, ask those questions. You can always, do an initial assessment with myself or with anyone.
Right.
Try it out.
Because you hear these nightmares about kids committing to colleges or committing to programs, changing high schools, and then ending up with a nightmare coach.
I mean, that's what I believe in vetting. Vet the coach. Use your network to also vet the coach, and look at their resume. Look at the fruit that the tree has produced.
Well said, Lyntrel Smith. It's been really a pleasure talking with you. Remind folks how to find you.
You can find me on Instagram at righteous_fitness. I'm also on TikTok at Righteous Fitness. You can email me at righteousfitness21@gmail.com, and I'll be around LA. I'm not too far.
Yeah, let's go get it. And Lyntrel Smith, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I guess I'm going to have to go hit those biceps today at the gym.
Yeah, your triceps look good.
Okay. Triceps doing what triceps do. We got news, traffic, and sports, and then the phone lines are wide open. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow urged Congress to crack down on child sex trafficking, telling a Senate panel that online abuse cases have nearly tripled since 2024.
We have to do a whole lot more, and we have to do it faster, because every day we wait, they're suffering, they're crying, and I believe right now many of them are praying that we would respond.
Tebow called for better tracking tools and stronger systems to close gaps in uncovering predators. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison testified today before the House Oversight Committee on Welfare Fraud. Chair James Comer says they failed to stop widespread abuse, prompting a freeze on some federal funds. And the Atlanta Hawks are moving forward with a Magic City Monday promotion tied to the famed strip club, despite criticism from NBA player Luke Cornett, who says the team should respect women. But the Hawks will proceed with co-branded merch and a TI halftime show. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Visit Hard Rock Casino Tejon for the $500,000 Luck of the Irish BMW drawing. Drawings every Thursday in March. Hard Rock Casino Tejon, the closest casino to downtown LA. The excitement starts here at the new Hard Rock Tejon.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers won their third straight. They beat New Orleans 110-101 Tuesday night at Crypto.com. 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists for Luka Doncic. LeBron had 21 points and 7 assists. The Clippers are at home tonight against Indiana. The Pacers come to town with a 6-game losing streak and the worst record in the Eastern Conference. They were in the NBA Finals last season. The career of the all-time scoring leader in California high school boys basketball came to an end Tuesday night. Inglewood High School star Jason Crow Jr. scored 34 points in Inglewood's 84-65 loss to Damian in the Southern California Division I regional playoffs. Crow's 34 raised his final career total to 4,718 points, the highest all time for boys and girls in California high school hoops. Crow is going to Missouri in the fall. No debates, no speculation, just the impact info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All the women who independent, throw your hands up at me.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable. All month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we your girls. We want you to know that we love you.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Or for everybody, and by everybody, we mean you. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. If you want to talk to us on socials, we're at KBLA 1580 on every platform. And I'm at DePrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Like, follow, subscribe, and comment. Love to hear from you. And, of course, the old-fashioned way on the phone, 800-920-1580. That is open and available to you as well. Doesn't it feel good to take a moment to think about something besides war and Trump and focus on our well-being, our fitness? It's almost springtime, right? So thank you, Lyntrel Smith from Righteous Fitness, for getting us in that vibe. We got to get outside. We got to walk around. We got to lift some weights. We got to be ready to be cute. I mean, ideally we would stay cute, but hey, let's inspire ourselves and each other. The U.S. has sunk an Iranian warship off of Sri Lanka. What they claim, what the Defense Secretary claims, was international waters. The Sri Lankans say they've rescued 32 sailors out of that crew of 180 people. It is what they're saying, what he said, what the Defense Secretary said, was that the ship thought it was safe in international waters, but it was sunk by a torpedo. He claims America is winning. Those of us who have been around for more than 5 minutes know that in a war, particularly with the Middle East, mission accomplished is a dangerous thing to say, and that we tend to get dragged into these long, drawn-out, expensive, brutal, and problematic conflicts in the Middle East. And that's where we are right now, today. The president said it'll just be a few weeks, but it could be months. The U.S. mainstream media, including the New York Times, is reporting that Israel is saying the war will last months and probably longer and may end up draining the United States. And it's so interesting that they feel that they have the say-so here. The president yesterday denying that he was pushed into this war by Israel, which has been widely reported that Netanyahu was pressuring him. Surprise, surprise. Israel has had their conflict with Iran. They have been intermittently bombing the countries that are supported by Iran and in conflict with Iran for quite a while. They've been widening their war in the Middle East, and now the U.S. has been directly dragged into it. Of course, we were already in it in Gaza because we've been providing them with weaponry. The New Yorker had a great cartoon where they showed someone manning some kind of missile headed for Iran, and it said, it's time that we show them why America doesn't have a social safety net. And it's so well said. We spend our money on our military, meanwhile funding states like Israel and their weaponry. Meanwhile, they have health care for all. They have free college. But we tell our people we cannot even afford food subsidies like SNAP while spending lavishly on death and destruction. And that's where we are right now. The Ariza is the name of this ship. I guess it's a destroyer, and it has now been taken down, according to Sri Lankan officials as well as the U.S. military. All of these things appear to be an escalation of this conflict, and there's no surprise there. The story that is barely starting to get told is how much this war is already costing us and how much it will drain our treasury in the next weeks or months. The primary in Texas, the Texas Democratic primary, drew record numbers of voters there to the polls. And that's a good sign, I think, for the midterm elections. It shows some enthusiasm among Democratic voters. More than 2.2 million votes have already been counted, more counting, and there are still more to be counted. But CNN and Politico and others are calling the U.S. Senate race for James Tallarico, saying he beat Representative Jasmine Crockett, which is quite surprising considering that the polling showed her solidly ahead. I saw her speaking out about how there were irregularities, particularly in Dallas County, which I have not looked into, but I presume that's where a lot of the black voters are in that state. There was also a big Republican turnout, though, too. So whether or not this enthusiasm will be enough to produce real results in the 2026 midterms is yet to be seen. You had 2.2 million votes already counted by Dems, more than 2.1 million by Republicans there. That's a huge turnout for a non-presidential year in the state of Texas. One thing, though, that again is another little ray of hope in this primary is the fact that Democrats seem to have turned out in larger numbers than Republicans in Texas. This is very rare for Texas, which is a red state. It happened in 2008 when Obama was on the ballot, and only one other time since then in 2020, and that's because it was a presidential primary and, where the Democrats were fighting to see who was going to be their candidate in 2020, and Donald Trump was already chosen, so it was not competitive for Republicans, so they were more likely to stay home. So this is a huge deal, really, if you look at it that way. It is the most Democrats to show up at the polls since 2008. That was also seen in North Carolina. The Senate primary wasn't really competitive there, but they had more votes. 200,000 more votes cast in that contest than on the Republican side in North Carolina. Again, that is a state that is not usually seeing a bigger Democratic turnout than Republican turnout. So this is a good trend line when it comes to what we might be seeing in the upcoming primaries and through the general election in November, where we are fighting for control of the House of Representatives and possibly even the Senate. Let's go to Paul calling us from Los Angeles. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I want to talk about the situation that happened in Texas. Obviously, I'm a voter in California, but, I'm going to speak up for my sisters and everything. What happened in California, in Texas, with the black voter suppression has been a recurring theme over and over again. And we have to call that out, Dominique, what they did to a lot of those voters there. And it wasn't just Republicans that played that game. It was a lot of Democrats that played that game too. And if we're going to acknowledge that there's not just only a black, anti-black rhetoric and agenda going around, but specifically an anti-black woman agenda going on.
Yeah.
That we're cool with you, and this is where we have to understand, and where, for me, we got to re-strategize and recalibrate how we move within these parties. They love us when we're stars when we speak. But the moment we want our share of the pie and equity, now y'all going too far. And what happened there, and everyone watched across the country, was a repeat of the 2024 election, because we can't have black women in that kind of position. And we got to call that out, Dominique. We have to.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I was expecting the black woman, anti-black woman playbook to be somewhat muted, because Republicans wanted Jasmine Crockett to win because they thought that she would be easier to defeat. But What we saw, even though Jasmine Crockett has conceded, and what she talked about is the voter suppression, exactly how they did bait and switch on polling places, and a lot of voters in the primarily black Dallas areas were not able to find their voting places in time. They were turned away. There were long lines. There was a lot of confusion. Because they switched to what they call a precinct-specific voting, which means that where you maybe used to vote before, you no longer can vote. And so they were actually turning people away from polling sites.
Yeah, but that only seems to happen in which districts. And here's a couple other things. $25 million in ad spends were spent on Tellerico's campaign. Only 5 was spent on Jasmine Crockett's. Everybody's on this anti-APAC thing and everything when it's been known and said that Tellerico has taken money from Miriam Adelson. At this point, everybody should know who Miriam Adelson is. But the narrative that was put out there was a false narrative that Jasmine Crockett had taken money from APAC.
Yeah, that's true.
What I'm saying here is, at some point, we got to see the writing on the wall. And our political capital as a whole, I said there's basically 59 million black people in this country. 35 million are eligible to vote. When do we exercise our political power and become our own independent or no party preference voting group? Because what's going on right now is they're taking our vote for granted. And if you're going to dog my sisters like that, I am out. I am out, because like I said, I'm not only black, but I'm black first, and we have to call a spade a spade. And what happened there is Texas is an open primary state, so Republicans can move over and vote Democratic. Independents can move over and vote Democratic. When the general comes around. When a general election comes around, what they're banking on is, well, black people are just going to vote for us anyway.
Yeah,
I couldn't roll with that. I could not roll with that, because look at where the shifts in the voting go. In the 2024 election, and this is just facts, y'all can go see it for yourself. The Latino men vote shifted 19 points towards Donald Trump. 19.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it's shifting back right about now. But, I mean, another thing I didn't realize, that in Dallas, in Texas, they have separate primaries. So the Republican election is actually considered separate from the Democratic election, and they have color-coded voting machines. They have blue for the Dems and red for the Republicans, and apparently the lines at the Democratic voting sites were long, and their red voting booths were sitting there unused in the same room. So if they were to have a joint primary, like the way most states do, you could just use any open voting machine, right? And so Democrats apparently tried to merge the two. Republicans refused. But this is probably a preview of coming attractions when we look at the midterms, correct? And it's one of the reasons, beyond, the gender and race issues, which are always present, is the issue of the corporate Dems and the way they gatekeep us and then expect our support on everything. They expect us to turn out. They expect us to precinct walk. They expect us to rescue the party year after year and decade after decade, but they gatekeep us. And what do I mean by that? Look at the way that Jasmine Crockett was boxed out in some instances. Why is Tallarico invited on national shows and platforms and night, evening shows, late night shows, in a way that normally you wouldn't see for a state leader, a state lawmaker? And Jasmine Crockett, who has been a national firebrand on these shows and panels, suddenly is less present.
They love us. They love us when we speak out. But the moment we want our share of the pie and our equity, y'all asking for too much. And at some point, people won't have to see the writing on the wall. We got to recalibrate how we move in this, because we will move. We don't have we cannot have an allegiance when we're clearly watching what's going on in our community.
But move where,
we
Paul?
Clearly are watching,
move where?
I believe we should be moving as a separate, independent voting block, no party preference.
And when I'm talking about, Jasmine Crockett being boxed out in that sense, yes, of course, her being a black woman is part of it. But part of it is the way the corporate Dems push out the more progressive element of the party, because not to say she's some progressive, pioneer, but she's definitely to the left of Tallarico. And that's what they do. This, it's going to be Hillary, not Bernie, right? That's what they do. And they refuse to lean into the progressive wing of the party, which is where the energy is, which is where the growth is, which is where the morals and ethics are. And they just keep holding the line for these corporate Dems. And I think that's the downfall of the Democratic Party.
You can't say no more. I agree 100% with you. I just want to open people's eyes. People need to wake up to the reality and the writing on the wall.
Yes, indeed. Paul, thank you so much for your call and for paying attention to all of these things.
Thank you, Dominique.
Paul called me at 800-920-1580. You're invited to do the same. I'm Dominique DePrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You do, and I'm glad that you are here. On the Republican side there in Texas, there will be a runoff. Senator John Cornyn will face the MAGA challenger, Ken Paxton, in a runoff in May for that spot. And as we covered, James Tallarico will be the Democratic nominee after he officially defeated Representative Jasmine Crockett. She did concede, even though a judge had ordered the polls to stay open 2 extra hours because of the confusion, the bait and switch in the polling places. But then another judge stayed that order. The Texas Supreme Court actually stayed that judge's order. So the voting hours were not extended after all. So what does that mean? It means that Tallarico will keep that spot. And that closely watched Dallas election was closely watched more on the Democratic side of the ledger. In Arkansas, that terrible Representative Tom Cotton, Senator Tom Cotton, I should say, will obviously keep his spot. I say obviously, he won with like 80% of the vote there, and he'll face Hallie Schaffner, who also handily won. Not much movement there. Interestingly, though, in the governor's race, in the primary, the Democrat Fred Love, someone I haven't really been tracking, but he won. He's a black man who won the Democratic primary for governor there in the state of Arkansas. So he'll face Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is terrible, but also was not contested. She was running uncontested there. So very much, nothing to see here type of a situation there. And what, like I said, the thing I'm most encouraged by is the fact that the turnout was good. And even though turnout was good on the Republican side, it was better on the Democratic side of the ledger. I think that's going to be super, super important in November. And hopefully it translates to all of these other primaries that we have coming up straight ahead. In North Carolina, you have, they're still counting votes in one of the races there. Representative Valerie Fauci is barely ahead of her challenger, Nita Alam. That's in North Carolina, 4th District. 99% of the vote counted there, and we still don't have a clear winner. Alam, again, from the progressive side of the aisle, being endorsed by Bernie Sanders in that race. So we still don't have an answer there. But certainly we'll continue to cover these results and look at how this shakes out. What is the aftermath of the voter suppression and voter irregularities in Texas? How other states are preparing to stave off these partisan attempts to sway the vote. We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow urged Congress to crack down on child sex trafficking, telling a Senate panel that online abuse cases have nearly tripled since 2024.
We have to do a whole lot more, and we have to do it faster, because every day we wait, they're suffering, they're crying, and I believe right now many of them are praying that we would respond.
Tebow called for better tracking tools and stronger systems to close gaps in uncovering predators. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison testified today before the House Oversight Committee on Welfare Fraud. Chair James Comer says they failed to stop widespread abuse, prompting a freeze on some federal funds. And the Atlanta Hawks are moving forward with a Magic City Monday promotion tied to the famed strip club, despite criticism from NBA player Luke Cornett, who says the team should respect women. But the Hawks will proceed with co-branded merch and a T.I. halftime show. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Visit Hard Rock Casino Tejon for the $500,000 Luck of the Irish BMW drawing. Drawings every Thursday in March. Hard Rock Casino Tejon, the closest casino to downtown LA. The excitement starts here at the new Hard Rock Tejon.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers won their third straight. They beat New Orleans 110-101 Tuesday night at Crypto.com. 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists for Luka Doncic. LeBron had 21 points and 7 assists. The Clippers are at home tonight against Indiana. The Pacers come to town with a 6-game losing streak and the worst record in the Eastern Conference. They were in the NBA Finals last season. The career of the all-time scoring leader in California high school boys basketball came to an end Tuesday night. Inglewood High School star Jason Crow Jr. scored 34 points in Inglewood's 84-65 loss to Damien in the Southern California Division I regional playoffs. Crow's 34 raised his final career total to 4,718 points, the highest all time for boys and girls in California high school hoops. Crow is going to Missouri in the fall. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I believe that we will go from guttermost to uttermost. I believe that we will go from slave ship to championship. I believe that we will go from outhouse to state house to courthouse.